Okay, we're going to sketch some graphs and we're going to write them in our notations. And the first thing is what if I have the absolute value of something is 3? Well, remember that we're looking for something I could put inside here that would be 3 away from 0. So the absolute value of 3 equals 3, and the absolute value of -3 equals 3, right? So this is going to have two different numbers. -3 will work, and +3 will work. So one way to write this is, in my inequality notation, it would literally just be x equals 3 or x equals -3. Both of those work. So an interval is usually like over an area, over the interval of something. But here we just want to write 2 points. So I'm just going to write this with these kind of funny, crazy, curvy brackets. And I'm just going to say -3 and 3. So we're showing it's not a point. This isn't a point. This is just the set that contains -3 and +3. Now what about this? Will an absolute value ever give me a negative number? No, it never ever gives us a negative number. So our answer is literally there's no point that'll ever give us a negative. So the inequality notation and our interval notation is that there are none. So we can say on these, we can use two different things. No solution. And then we have a new symbol. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's a 0 with a slash through it, and it means no solution. All right, so first I just want to kind of go through and tell you how this would work normally. So I know that x in here is going to be between this, it's got to be less than 3. So if I think about 3 would work because it says if I put a 3 in here, 3 is less than or equal to 3. If I put a 2 in here, 2 is less than or equal to a 3. 1 would work, 0 would work. -1 would also work. And remember, this is going to make it positive in here, so -1 and -2 all the way to -3. So in fact, it includes everything in between here. Now, how is an easier way to do it other than just double checking every single one? Well, we do these by writing two different things out. Just like we knew that when I did the actual just equals to, it gave me two answers. I do the same thing with this one. I'm going to write this out as x needs to be less than or equal to 3, and x needs to be greater. I'm going to put the -3 here. But remember yesterday when we said anytime I multiply or divide by a negative, here I'm putting a negative, I have to flip the sign. Remember us talking about that yesterday? So on this one I have to flip it the other way. So what happens is I need both of these things to be true. So it can go from x is less than 3, so from here it's going this direction. And then I also need everything that is from x going the other way from the -3, so like this. And if you notice here, this part in the middle overlaps between this arrow and that arrow, and I get this part in the middle that overlaps. So this whole thing from here to there is my answer solution. So I could write it out as inequality notation like this with the word and in it, or I could put it in the other order. I could put the -3 first, and since it's just one interval, I want to write it like this. -3, started that in, then I put my less than or equal. Notice it was pointing at the -3, pointing at the -3, put the x in the middle, and then I'm going to put this part is less than or equal to 3. And then when I do my interval notation, I'm going to start at this -3 here, and just like we talked about before, I want to include it because it's colored in, -3 to 3. Can an absolute value that's positive ever be less than a negative? A positive is never going to be less than a negative, so this is no solution. Okay, now I want everything where x is bigger than 3, where the absolute value of x is bigger than 3. So instead of trying to guess where it's going to be here, let's just write it out like this. So we want where x is bigger than 3, and where x is less than, remember I'm going to switch the signs, -3. So let's look at what that looks like, and I'm going to use a pencil so I don't mess it up. I need less than -3, so over here, all these are good, and all these on this side are good. And I can color in my little dots because it also says equal to. So I'm going to have all of these over here and all these over here. I can't combine it in one line because this is 2 parts. This is 2 parts here, so I have to have 2 parts here. Up here it was literally 1 piece, so I could make it into 1 line. So here I'm also going to have 2 parts. It's going to start down here at -infinity and go to -3, and then I'm including it because I colored in the circle. And then it's going to start at +3 and go to infinity. All right, now I have x is greater than a negative. Well, when is a positive going to be greater than a negative? Well, a positive is always going to be greater than a negative, right? So this is actually, the whole thing works because a positive is always greater than a -3. So this is x is an element of the real numbers. Remember we used that symbol before, and to do interval notation it's -infinity to infinity. All right, now what if we just take the little equals off of there? I didn't put all the options on here, but let's just do these 2 quickly. X is less than 3, so we're going to write it out as our 2 things. X is less than 3, and x is greater than -3. So where's that going to be on our thing? X is less than 3, so here's my 3, and it's an open circle this time because it's not equal. I'm going to go that way. And then x is greater than -3, so that's going to start right here and go this way. So the overlap is in the middle right here. So I'm going to write this one as -3 less than x less than 3. I can put it in one piece because there's just one piece here. And I can write it over here as -3 and 3. Now let's do the other one. This one is x is greater than 3 and x is less than -3. Let's see what that looks like. Open circle. This one is going to the right. This one is going to the left. So this one is 2 pieces. No overlap, 2 pieces, so I have to leave it as 2 pieces. It's and in the middle. And, I'm sorry, it's or in the middle. It's either this piece or that piece works. And so I've got to write it as 2 pieces like there. So -infinity to -3 and +infinity to +3.